When I first moved to town, all I had in mind was a fresh start, but I never expected to be bewitched by a woman the moment I saw her. I was at the market, sorting through some produce, when I spotted her. She was graceful, dressed in a flowing, pale yellow dress, with loose hair falling around her shoulders. A single pink hibiscus was tucked behind her ear, and everything about her seemed delicate, ethereal. I'd never felt such an instant attraction before. She was perfect, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd stumbled into some kind of dream. Over the following days, she occupied my mind. I'd return to the market hoping for another glimpse of her, and when I finally saw her again, I knew I had to know more. As I watched her weave through the stalls, my curiosity deepened. Without thinking, I began to follow her at a distance. She walked with a lightness that only made her seem more otherworldly. I knew it was wrong to trail her, but I was spellbound, compelled to learn more. Eventually, she reached a small, picturesque cottage surrounded by lush greenery and disappeared inside. The cottage felt like something out of a fairy tale, and I stood there, wondering about the life she led. But my thoughts were interrupted by a low voice from inside. A man's voice. I crept closer to the open window, holding my breath. She was with a man, her husband I assumed, as she smiled and gently apologized for being late. But he, in contrast to her warmth, was stone-faced, his words sharp.
"Make my meal?"
He commanded, barely looking at her. The way he treated her seemed wrong, and I felt a pang of anger toward him, wondering why he seemed so indifferent to her beauty and grace. She disappeared into the kitchen, and he sat there, pulling out a box of tools, taking up a knife and sharpening it slowly against a stone. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, trying to forget her. But as the full moon rose, so did an irresistible urge to return to her house. Against my better judgment, I found myself back at her cottage, standing outside, captivated by the light in the window. Suddenly, a sharp cry cut through the night, followed by angry shouting. The sounds were chilling, almost otherworldly. My heart raced, but I pushed myself forward, pounding on the door, calling her name. The cries grew louder, blending into something unearthly. I felt my own courage falter, but I couldn't turn away. I threw my weight against the door until it cracked open, and what I saw inside will haunt me forever. She was cowering in the corner, her face hidden in shadows, while her husband loomed over her, a hammer clutched in his hand. His expression twisted with anger and fear. I yelled for him to leave her alone, rushing to her side, but he turned on me, shouting,
"You don't understand."
Ignoring him, I knelt beside her and noticed something peculiar. A large, iron nail embedded at the back of her neck. Acting on impulse, I pulled the nail out, and almost instantly I regretted it. A terrible transformation unfolded before me. Her once beautiful face twisted into a horrifying mask, her eyes glowing red, her mouth filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. She let out a low, guttural growl, sending chills down my spine. I backed away, but she wasn't looking at me. Her rage was focused on her husband. In one swift motion, she lunged at him, her nails slashing through his flesh like paper. He screamed, a raw, terrified sound, and I could do nothing but watch in horror. The air filled with the metallic scent of blood as she tore into him, feasting on his flesh with savage intensity. When it was over, a deathly silence fell, broken only by the dripping of blood pooling beneath them. She turned toward me, her blood-stained face and crimson-streaked hands in stark contrast to the delicate image I'd once adored. I felt my feet freeze to the floor, my mind reeling with the realization of what she truly was. A Pontianak, a monstrous creature bound by that iron nail. With trembling hands, I found the nail on the floor, gripping it like my life depended on it. Summoning every ounce of courage, I stepped forward, and just as she let out another growl, I drove the nail back into the base of her neck. Her monstrous form shifted and her features softened, returning to the woman I had first seen. She looked at me, her eyes wide, pleading,
"Don't hurt me."
Even then, her beauty left me in a trance, but I knew I had to leave. Without another word, I backed out of the cottage and ran as far as my legs would carry me. 2 years passed, and despite everything, I found myself back in that town, unable to fully escape the memory of her. I wandered the market, telling myself it was just for trade, that I would leave as soon as my business was done. But then, like some dark magic, I saw her again. She hadn't aged a day, and just as before, I felt that inescapable pull. I watched her leave the market with another man, my jealousy flaring. That night, I returned to her cottage once more. The full moon rose high in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the house. I crept to her window, listening as she spoke to the man, her voice soft but strained. The moonlight streamed through the window, casting her shadow on the wall, her hands gripping her neck as she fought against her transformation. I watched, entranced, as her nails dug into the wood, trying to keep the monstrous side of her at bay. A pang of jealousy rose within me, and I found myself moving forward, compelled to act. Ignoring all the warnings in my mind, I slipped inside, reached for her neck, and once again pulled the nail free. Her transformation was instant and more violent than before. With a howl, she lunged at the man, her face a grotesque vision of rage and bloodlust. I scrambled back, my heart pounding as I heard the man's dying cries. And as I ran from the house, the horrific sounds following me into the night, I realized one terrifying truth. I had unleashed her, and now, like all who came too close, I could never truly escape.
Stories may end, but the fear remains. Subscribe to uncover more secrets hidden in the darkness. Until we meet again in the world of nightmarish shadows.